Hi there, welcome to Prime Time. I'm Paul Orford. I'm here with Constantinos from Ariston Consulting, and what I wanted to talk about today, Constantinos, was something that 99% of brokerages are missing out on. Something which you're offering as well, which I wanted you to elaborate on, which is physical shares. So could you kind of introduce yourself and give people a basic outline of how it works and what's in it for them?
Hi Paul, thank you for having me. And yes, I'm in Ariston Consulting. We have founded Ariston Consulting a couple of years back. Basically, it's a team of real hardcore professionals that have been in the industry for a couple of years now, or on key positions for a couple of years. But they have been working inside and outside the brokerage firms for quite some time. And what we identified actually is the core problem of the Cypriot investment firms with having real trouble of obtaining manpower, qualified manpower. What we mean is, for example, we have seen it a lot. It's someone coming in the investment firm. For example, let's speak about the brokerage firm. They're coming in the brokerage firm as junior dealers. No background, no experience, just professional qualifications. After that, we've seen them in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months time. They're headhunted by the brokers, and all of a sudden they become senior dealers. And in a year's time, they're leading brokerage firms without having the sufficient knowledge or experience to actually implement the whole brokerage structure and the work needed behind it. It's not an easy task. I mean, the brokerage firm is the heart of an investment firm, and that's what the major investment firms are really struggling with. Ariston Consulting is offering a wide variety of services, but we do emphasize on the brokerage firms, and we also offer, for example, banking solutions, customer support, compliance monitoring. We do have respected partnerships aligned, and which make it much easier for the investment firms to cover the needs. But our main emphasis is and will be the brokerage firms.
All right, so the dealing part is really interesting because the majority of people who watch this will be from a brokerage background, and it's not a put down on the people who are working in the dealing rooms because they've got to start somewhere. But you're right, where the knowledge base isn't put in there. For example, you would need a minimum of a year, I'd say, in a junior role, a year in like the medium tier, and then the third year to be looking to be more senior, because if it's a very weak element to your brokerage in a dealing room, then you could leave on a Friday and Monday it's all gone. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's true. That's very true. And the problem usually arises from limited access to junior or senior employees on structuring the dealing room. It's usually done by senior management or a very respected person in the company that does not allow access to the junior or senior dealers. And let's take, for example, a brokerage firm wants to implement real stocks. Now, real stocks, we have been recently in an investment firm that they called us up and they said, you know, we have been trying to implement real stocks for the last 6 months. And sincerely, real stocks, there's nothing hard about it. If you connect to the right partners and liquidity providers, can be set up as quick as a week. Yeah. So a week's time of actually implementing the real stocks can be transformed into 6 months, 8 months, even a year, and not even being done properly.
Yeah. Because I think what the main problem is when people look at anything new is how much of a pain is it to do this. You know, whether it's a new liquidity feed or a new whatever, but people see it's quite a large thing, say, okay, we're going to not move everything, but adjust things slightly to say we've been working with derivatives 100%. Now we're going to also have stocks. Why would they do this?
Okay, well, real stocks, for example, there's a lot of work behind real stocks. That's what the majority of the investment firms are afraid of. For example, if you're offering 40 different exchanges, and then you have the corporate actions, you have dividends, splits, the dealing room has to continuously monitor and take action beforehand. Now, that's something that the dealing rooms and the investment firms are afraid of. which actually what we have managed to do is a fully automated solution that the brokerage implements and nothing else has to be done. Now, real stocks, in our opinion, is obviously favored by the regulators because, everyone's so fed up with the high leverage and clients losing money in fast rates. The average lifespan of a trader, it's considered to be 28 days. It's with the high leverage. With real stocks, it's a much different option. That's where the whole industry started from. The stock exchanges, trading real stocks, one-to-one leverage, and with one-to-one leverage, it's very, very hard to lose your initial capital. You can have significant drawdowns depending on the stock value, 20, 30, 40%, but you do not lose the clients do not lose their funds as a fast rate as they will do trading CFDs.
Now with this as well, I think there's a specific sort of brokerage client who will look at this, ones who is looking for a longer term strategy for their business, rather than, it's not to say there's good or bad, one which is more into the high turnover of clients, because with this as well, people may think, oh well, how do I make money from this? Well, look at it as a retention tool. You can reinvigorate old clients by saying, look, we've got stocks, you can get the physical ones, and also you can trade a derivative against it as a hedge.
Exactly.
And I think from a personal position as well, that if I'm dealing with a brokerage that is doing physical stocks, they're looking longer term.
Exactly.
They're not looking to change their name every 3 months or something like that.
It's the credibility that's offered to the client. I'm here to stay. I'm offering, so the client has the potential to diversify its portfolio. He wants to invest in any form of real stock, in any exchange. He will buy the real stock, so you're offering a bigger variety of instruments and the potential for the client to trade. So if a client, for example, and you're also targeting a wider target market. So if I'm I wouldn't say a retail investor, somewhere between a retail and a professional. So I'm looking to buy, for example, Tesla. There's a lot of hype around Tesla. Yes, you're providing me the opportunity to diversify my portfolio and say, okay, I want 20% of my funds to be invested in the Tesla stock. From there on, yes, you do provide him the CFDs. You do provide him, if you wish, so the cryptos, or he can also buy the whole index that the stock is listed under. And you're also offering him the potential with the higher leverage offered on the CFDs for short-term trading. If he finds a nice setup, yes, he can over-leverage it slightly, and he can also trade the CFD. But with real stocks, yes, the problem is that when you have brokerage firms that are looking short-term and they're after revenues, that's when they start disliking real stocks, because a real stock, you're not charged swaps, overnight charges. You buy a stock, that's it. You don't have any finance expenses in holding a stock. I mean, you can hold a stock for 5 years, but if you're holding a CFD equity for 5 years, it will cost you a lot of money.
So here's another thought that's come to my mind. Would it also work for a brokerage to diversify into like a fund as well also then, like if they're going to go to stocks route, why not take the extra step as well and make it go for fund, like offer clients a portfolio of stocks where the brokerage is buying it on their behalf, and they've got a qualified person to do this, why they're buying, why they're selling, etc. And derivatives just becomes an arm of the brokerage rather than the sole reason for existing.
We did have a client recently that the request came from the retail side, and they said, okay, we do have clients that we want to structure our own portfolios, and for example, blue chip stocks. And they choose the stocks. We had a recent inquiry that we completed, and the brokerage firm said, I want a theme basket. So we structured an index, a thematic index, consisting of the 5 stocks that the investment firm told us. For example, I want in my portfolio 15% of Tesla, 20% of Amazon, 5% of Facebook. So they choose 7-8 performing stocks. We manufacture a thematic index It was one of the hardest tasks actually, but we did construct a thematic index that whatever happened to the real stocks, it was corresponding on the thematic index. So if we had a corporate action, we had dividends, we had a split, it was all translated on the thematic index. So you go out and you offer the client, you can invest on the tech thematic index, on the banking thematic index. So you give them the portfolios and the opportunity to diversify their funds into different areas.
How hard is that to do then?
That was very hard because it was the first time that we did, but now obviously that we have managed to structure such a thematic index, it's not as hard.
So with something like that, you're generating the index yourself, you own like the technology, we'll call it in inverted commas. Can this be white labeled also? So if I'm a brokerage, I can come to you and say, look, I like the idea of that thematic the fund, essentially what you're doing, can I connect it to my clients?
Yes, you can. It's not in the form of a white label, so a broker can rename it into whatever he wants, and he can choose the stocks as he wishes. But we structure it, we take the percentages as requested, and once structured, the broker can offer it as a single index. So when the client buys the tech index, for example, whatever it's labeled, automatically the client owns, for example, 15% of Tesla, 10% of Facebook, so it's redirected. Each broker can structure its own thematic index and offer it to the client.
So do you think if you're doing this type of thing, is it an AIF? Is that what the more brokers get? Alternative investment funds?
It's in the form of, it's more like an ETF.
Right, okay.
ETF, yes.
Yeah. So would you need a license for that as well, no?
No license, as long as you have the correct LP behind that will execute the real stocks. And you can even structure a CFD. It can even be structured in a CFD, but it will have the relevant charges.
It's really interesting because it's more products for a client or a brokerage to have. Exactly. I'll be sure it takes courage for them to do it because it's something different when it's like everyone's addicted to the easy money. Plug it in an LP feed, B-book it, and we're laughing. But I think if you are looking to the next 5 to 10 years of being in this business, personally, I think it's going to radically change over the next 3 with your standard MT4, MT5 offering. Yes. So you do need to plan ahead.
Especially with the highest regulations now, and it will change. And also with the MT5, with MT5, we hear meta codes, screaming for MT5, but with the back end of MT5, it is true that MT5 does miracles. We're so limited with MT4, especially us working on the back end. With MT4, we're very, very limited. Whilst with MT5, we can pretty much do anything. Anything that the brokerage firm has asked for, we were in a position to deliver with MT5. It's amazing.
Just finally then, with the local brokerages we have here, the CISEC regulated ones, okay, the ones that are completely regulated, it's fair to say that it's there for a reason, the people who get it, okay, for banking, etc. But if they're taking advantage of shares, so on and so forth, doesn't it really put that license to good use? Where you've paid, 125 grand for your SDP license, why not get into shares? Why don't you put that into your European entity?
Exactly. Provide to the client, since you're an SDP as well, provide to the client the opportunity to trade real stocks. It's another offering. It's something that you will offer that otherwise you would have lost the client. And especially now with the solutions that we're able to offer, we can really offer to a client, especially startups which are not well established, the ability to connect them to liquidity providers that we are working with, genuine and with all-in-one offerings. For example, all the brokerage firm has to do is call us and say, I want the minus on FX. We just switch them on. I want equities, I want real stocks, I want cryptos. It's an all-in-one solution. They don't have to connect to multiple LPs and then from there on have their minimum expenses or whatever. I mean, it's amazing. It's an all-in-one solution.
All right, mate, well, let's wrap it up there. If you look down the camera and give your contact details, best way for people to, 'cause I'm sure people, they'd be mad not to, essentially, with stocks. I think, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you can find us at aristonconsulting.com. If you have any inquiries, you can also send an email to info@aristonconsulting.com and we'll get back to you immediately.
All right, thanks. That was really informative.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Bye.